Hello, my darlings. It is so wonderful to get to sit down and make this video with you. November has been really busy for me. I'm sure a lot of you are also feeling that as well. And so it's wonderful to have some time this week to be able to sit down and talk and chat about tarot with you guys. So let's see, it's holiday week here. Well, the last 3 days of the week and then plus the weekend for Vincent, my son. And so our schedule is like kind of slowing down here a little bit for a couple days. And so we're both super excited for that. I think we both are looking forward to some quiet space and some time with our dear family members of the heart, and also getting a chance to color and do some creative activities that we love to do together. So we're very much looking forward to that. And of course, this time of year, I think in general, for those of us who do celebrate the holidays, outside of observing the Wheel of the Year, which if you've found your way to my channel, you probably observe the Wheel of the Year in your path. But if you do observe the holidays, it could be an interesting experience, right? Because depending on like who you're connecting with, you could be connecting with family members or friends who can trigger you at times, maybe spending some time with people that you don't typically choose to spend time with. But then there's also that beauty of getting a little extra time with those that we love and that we treasure in our lives, and you know, getting a chance to really like sit and talk and connect with them, which is always wonderful. So for this year, Vincent and I are going to spend Thanksgiving at some friends of ours, go have a nice family dinner with them, and we're really looking forward to that. But if you're feeling a little bit stressed about your own holiday observances, if you are observing Thanksgiving this week or just having family time, be gentle with yourself, and also give yourself permission to say no to spending time with people whose energy you just don't want to be in connection with. So that being said, that's my little advice around Thanksgiving, if you're in that space. I've just been ruminating on that a little bit because I drew the 7 of Wands this morning as my personal draw. And so sitting with like giving yourself permission that it's okay to say no where you need to, in regards to people that you choose to have in your life, right? So yeah, I think just as I always do with these videos, kind of give you guys a little update with where I am on my personal journey, as a witch, as a priestess, feeling so inspired by my work, with my work. I love what I do for work. It's the most fulfilling thing ever. And I've just really, really been just jiving on just how groovy my life gets to be doing this work full time, and just really feeling grateful. I've had some really, really powerful mentoring students right now, and also readings with clients that have just been really, really deep and beautiful, and have been just such a, I feel so privileged and honored that I get to be in sacred space with people at such an intimate, deep level. So that's been wonderful. You know, I'm still coming out of some loss in my personal life, and so it's been a very contemplative November. November's an interesting month because I tend to like really love it, and then by the end of November kind of dread the cold that's making its way in with winter. But this year I'm actually really enjoying the cold. The end of November is really just turning me on. End of November is a good thing. I'm really enjoying the colder weather, actually, insofar as the chance to slow down a little bit, to wear my favorite sweaters and, you know, pull the boots out of the closet and get a chance to wear those when I'm out and about with Vincent. And also I think the contemplative energy of nature as she goes to sleep in November is something really, really magical. And to get a chance to really move with her energy there is such a blessing, and it's so powerful in my own practice as well. So if you're feeling a little bit lost or like you want to slow down right now, allow yourself to move with the energy of the season and really just like check in with where you are. Very much I'm working with the energy of getting like really grounded into my practice again, and also like really present and aware of where I am on my journey personally for myself, and what my needs may be and how those shift on any given day. So I've also really been working with Chikoli a lot. Isis is my patroness, as many of you know, and so I'm always working with Isis, but I've really felt her energy very strongly as I've moved more into the late days of November. And I've really been feeling this sense of like wanting to work with decks that really feel very earthy and grounded. I just keep going back to that word grounded. It's like I want to come back to presence and connection within my body. I've really been working with that energy personally of, you know, that we choose to have the human experience. And so it's not about getting out of our bodies, but instead about being more present within our bodies and offering ourselves authentic being within our body, and also really honoring that our body is one of our greatest tools, and that it really lets us know when something's working or not working for us, or anywhere in between that on the spectrum. So, you know, usually October and November, I'm really into my like Stevie Nicks witchcraft self. This year I haven't really been in that space. It's been much more about crone energy of slowing down and getting rooted. Like, where are my roots and how do I nurture those roots? So there's been a lot of anxiety, unsurety in the world as well. And so I think our practice can really sustain us through those times of, well, where it doesn't really feel safe, right? We don't know where our safety or stability is at times. And so spiritual practice that really lets us feel grounded and lets us know where our roots are, that unassailable part of us that like can never be taken away, right? No one can beat it out of us or steal it from us or, you know, take it from us. It's always with us no matter what. So like connecting in with that energy has felt very important for me personally. And if you've been feeling that too, you might find that some of the decks on this list really help you to experience that in your spiritual practice. That's the beauty of spiritual practice. That's why I'm always encouraging you, if you connect with this channel, to not be hard on yourself when you fall away from your practice. There are times that the practice needs to lie fallow. But when it's time to reconnect with your practice, get right back on that horse. Reconnect in with the practice, let it be what it needs to be at this point in time for you, and let it revitalize you. Also, allow it to be a comfort to you. I think speaking to my gods for me is one of the most comforting experiences. And so that's something I always come back to in my own personal practice. So please feel affirmed to continue to explore that for yourself on your path if that resonates for you. Okay, let's talk about decks, because I've rambled for 8 minutes as normal. So I don't know, it's not a very big list right now because I'm really working with very specific decks. Like I said, decks that are really causing me to feel grounded. My number one deck right now, I'm going to kind of do this a little bit differently than normal. Usually I like start with what's there and then I work up to what I'm using the most. I'm actually going to start with what I'm using the most right now. And so for me, that's the Murder of Crows Tarot. And as I said, I drew 7 of Wands this morning. The Murder of Crows Tarot is, I fucking love this deck. Yes, I'm going to swear. I love this deck so much. It's so honest, it's so truthful, and it's such a great, it's honest and truthful, and it's a great storyteller, but it doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. Like it's, I don't know how to describe it other than to say that. Like it's just such a good friend. It's such like, it's that honest, truthful friend that you know is like gonna pour you a cup of tea or a stiff drink and then tell you the absolute truth, right? Like it's gonna tell you the truth, but still love you, but like tell you the truth. And that's very much Murder of Crows energy. It's also, as you can see, a darker themed deck. So if you are drawn to that type of artwork, you are really gonna love this deck. And it does lend itself well for times when you are feeling more called to go within. It lends itself very well to that. I've been using it a lot in daily draws, but also for personal card spreads. There's the Ace of Cups. That's one of my favorite images in this deck. Love this deck so much. Just more and more over time, like this is one of those decks like Tarot of Vampyres that I literally cannot fucking live without. Like, this is it. This deck is like it for me. So, okay. Next is Tarot of Vampyres. Yes, always Tarot of Vampyres, but like really a lot of Tarot of Vampyres right now for me. It's just where I'm at, baby. Like this deck is more of like a lover to me. Like, oh, does she know how to just, you know, tempt you and just draw you in and then like keep you there, right? It's like those nights when you have like that amazing conversation with someone and you're totally on the same wavelength and you can't stop talking to each other. It's that type of energy. And that is Tarot of Vampyres for me. She's lusty, she's occult, she's infinite. Like, there's nowhere she can't take you. It never gets old. You never want to step out and see somebody else. Well, I mean, I do work with other decks, but it's always goes back to Tarot of Vampyres for me. Like, if you said I could only work with one deck for the rest of my life, it would be this deck. Because there's so many different places you can go to with Tarot of Vampyres. So Tarot of Vampyres. I've also been working with the Uncommon Tarot a lot. I like to keep her in her box. I don't know, do you guys have certain decks that, like, they just like to be in their box and that's it? And that's the Uncommon Tarot for me. Like, even when I'm working with her regularly, she's in her box on my my desk. So Uncommon Tarot, I have an interesting relationship with this deck. I find the artwork so satisfying and it pulls me in, but I'll go long stretches of time not working with this deck. And then all of a sudden it will be like, I'll see the backing in my mind's eye, the backing to this deck. And I'm like, oh, I gotta pull out Uncommon Tarot. And it's like this week, almost all the readings I've done, Uncommon Tarot has wanted to be present. So she's feeling chatty right now. The artwork is beautiful in this deck. Like, stunning. She's that girl. If you're on the fence about purchasing this deck at all, I think it's totally worth it. The Uncommon Tarot is by Shaheen Miro. But, oh my God, it's just so fantastical and artistic and very like water element, and you're just kind of in flow, in flux, in flow with this deck in a way that's just, it's so delicious. Yeah, this is one of those delicious, yummy decks that, like, I don't want to not have her in my collection, but I don't work with her constantly. I will be very honest about that. And not really, although I suppose it is autumnal in its color saturation, not typically a deck that I'm like always pulling out in November. Since I've had the deck, I think I've worked with it more in the spring, if I'm recalling correctly, but I really, really, really love this deck, guys, and I'm really enjoying it right now. As far as the way that it reads, it's very watery to me. So it tends to go into like emotional, it takes the long way home. Like, it's not a straight shooter like Murder of Crows. It tells a story and it takes its sweet time. And I find when I work with it in spreads, I have to like I have to sit with the imagery for a few minutes before I pop off with my intuitive understanding and just like let the story reveal itself in the cards as a whole. So it is one that I would say, you know, she isn't giving away the goods on the first date. You've got to wine and dine her a little bit, but it's worth it. Okay, next on the list is the Lantern Oracle. I've been using this a lot in shadow work for some clients of mine who are embarking on my Reflecting Pool shadow work journey, which is a 5-week course that I offer. And this deck gets right, this deck is literally meant for shadow work. It's called the Lantern Oracle. It's a shadow work deck. And it gets right to the heart of underlying causes of triggers and coping mechanisms. So this is a very specific tool, and it's like you don't use it for everything, you use it for that one specific thing. But I've been using it a lot for work throughout the months of October and November, and also personally for myself, just to get down into my own cycles with grief and mourning and loss. And the artwork is absolutely beautiful. Cardstock quality is a dream. The Lantern Oracle is worth the purchase. Like I said, it's very specific, but it is good at what it was made for. Okay, Faceted Garden Oracle. Guys, I love this deck so much. I didn't want to love her, but I do. No, I mean, I did want to love her, but she's not my typical go-to for an artwork style. However, this deck is like amazeballs. This deck is amazeballs. It's a really, really great clarifier. Faceted Garden Oracle by Claire Mack. Yes, Claire Mack. I'm always like, is it Mackie or Mac? It's Mac. By Claire Mack. It's such a great clarifier. And it's also really good for like, well, I got to go back to the water element because it is water in the way it feels to me when I work with it. But it's really good for like seeing your own big picture and knowing, oh, that's what it is. I was trying to find the right word. It's a really good journey marker. Like it lets you know where you are on your personal path. So if you're feeling conflicted about like, who even am I anymore? Or what is my purpose? Or like, where am I right now on my journey? Because I feel really stuck in a certain area. This is a deck that lends itself beautifully to giving you clarity around that and allowing you to craft ritual around that speaks to the truth of where you are, right? Which there's something to be said for really acknowledging and getting down into where we are and then allowing that to offer us a transformation that perhaps we've been running from where we are now in order to avoid. It's a very roundabout way to say that, but also much like this deck. Now it's really, really beautiful. And it's also great. I will add as an aside to this too, it's great on the altar for like representing the cycles, the seasonal cycles, or where you feel you are on your journey, or maybe something you're working on with an aspect of deity or a guide in your own personal story. It's a really beautiful deck to use in altar work. It does lend itself very, very well for that. So this is one that I really, really love. This is the Faceted Garden Oracle by Claire Mack. She just gets better with time. Like if you don't connect with her immediately, give her a chance because, oh my gosh, am I so glad that I invested in her. She is an investment deck. She is worth it. Okay, this is new. Oh my God, guys, I'm the worst. I forgot the name of this deck already. It's the new Vampyres deck. Night Fairies? Yes, Night Fairies. So this is new, so I'm getting to know her. We're getting to know each other. We're having a good time. Like, I'm a Taurus, and this, what sign would I define this deck as? If I'm a Taurus, this deck is like, a Scorpio. Insofar as like, oh, is there a place that we can go with this artwork? And it's lusty, and there's lots of layers. And we're gonna talk about all the things, you know, with like really just over the top cheese and some just delicious, like crusty bread. And we probably would have like a glass of red wine while we were talking, you know, like it's that type of just, this deck just like, oh, I love all of his decks so far, or their decks so far. I'm just like, I love them. They're just wonderful. I find them to be completely worth the investment and each one unique. And just, you know what else too? Like, I think everything on this list, just really loving, like really loving, not unkind, not needing to push into fight. But if you, this is a new release, this deck, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, because I pre-ordered it. If you are, I love this image. Can we just freaking talk about this image? Do you know why I love this image? Because so often deer get pictured, any member of the deer family get pictured as Bambi, right? Like these sweet little things. They're such like a pet, but they're not in real life. And the power, I don't know, I just feel like such a fire element energy to this fae and the animal that's with her. And I freaking love it. It's like, I love that it's a different representation. But anyhow, as I was saying, this deck is a new release. I have an unboxing, but not a review up yet. I'm still getting to know her, so she hasn't shown up in readings for clients yet, but oh, we are having fun. Like, she's getting a third date. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that's the Night Fairies Oracle. I want to go here next. Next is Alice in Wonderland Oracle. I really took a break working with her, but one of my clients, one of my students is using this in one of her packages. And so I was pulling it out to work with her. And you know, when you take a little break from a deck and then you come back to it and you're like, holy shit, I fucking love this deck. I love this deck so much. This deck is going to kick your ass. She isn't going to apologize. She doesn't care. Make sure you say thank you at the end. Like, that's her energy, right? So, oh my God, love this deck so much. So I like working with her with this deck now. I'm using it for myself too. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love this deck. How did I ever put her on vacation, right? Like how did I ever put her on vacation? So freaking beautiful. Yeah, so this is Alice the Wonderland Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith. And it's fucking amazing. Okay. Oh, I still have more. Like, I thought I didn't have a big list, guys. All right. No, I'm going to do this. So next I have Oracle of the Shapeshifters. This one's been on vacation for a while. But recently, kind of for a similar reason like with Alice in Wonderland, I think I was called to use it in a client reading. She wanted to come forward for a client reading. And I was like, I forgot how amazing this deck is. I'm so like in love with my current collection that it's gonna, you know, you got to be like pretty special right now for me to purchase another one. So this is a different feel than Alice in Wonderland. Not as kick-ass, not as in your face, not as like, are we gonna go there? Let's deal with your shit as Alice in Wonderland. This is more like, we're walking with you on your journey. Here are some things that we would like to share with you. Do you feel like you could listen? And wherever you're at, like, let's listen from that place. That's very much Oracle of the Shapeshifters. If anyone has a newer version, will you guys let me know if it has matte cardstock? Because I'm actually like not in love with the cardstock on this deck. But this is Oracle of the Shapeshifters by Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I've really been enjoying this as a clarifier to my tarot readings. She's just good that way. I should also say, I'm going to backtrack for a second. Alice in Wonderland is great for shadow work. Okay. So as I said, I'm going to present these three all together. I've really been connecting with Chikoli at this point in time. And so I've been using the pocket edition, which is my blessing deck, and the full-size edition of the Chikoli Oracle pretty much every single day. Just saying. It's actually, this Oracle deck is actually one of the most loving and not empowering from like kick ass, but like pick yourself up off the floor, sweetheart. Let's find your light. Where is your light? Access the light. Allow the light to help you be present and to move through things with awareness and greet opportunity with vulnerability and presence, if that makes sense. Like, that's what this deck feels like to me. And you would think because it's Kali, like, oh, it's going to be so like fiery and kick-ass and tower energy and take no prisoners. And while there are a few cards like that, it's really not on the whole like that at all. It's a super, super loving deck. So I have been using the full-size Kali in my personal practice. That's very much like a spiritual journey deck for me. Any of Alana's decks are, because as we know, they are wordy. But the blessing decks I've been using as a little blessing for myself or clients in readings. And then for myself, like I'll do one draw a day. So the blessing decks, as I call them, they're the pocket edition size if you're going to purchase. They have the same imagery as the larger size edition of the deck, but then they have like a little prayer or a blessing or an affirmation on the back of the deck. So they condense all of the guidebook into this little few sentences for each card. So if you find Alana's decks overwhelming, it's a great option. If you want a blessing deck to connect with your goddess, it's a great option. So Kali Oracle pocket size, I have been using daily. And then I've also been using the pocket edition size of the Ices for the same exact thing. So this is the pocket edition of the Ices Oracle. And you get a blessing and an affirmation or an affirmation on the back of the deck. It's a really lovely way to connect in with the goddess. And then there's an example of that on the back of the deck. So you know, if you're looking to purchase that, what to expect. I cannot recommend the pocket editions enough so far, guys. All right, last two. Oh my God, if you've hung in here, nice work. Nicoletta Chikoli Tarot. Yes, you guys know if I'm pulling this out, I'm doing some serious personal work. And yes, I am. I finally feel ready to do that on my personal journey. And so I've been working with the Chikoli Tarot to help me do that. The Chikoli Tarot is, again, like the Lantern Oracle, a very nuanced tool. It's not for use all the time. It's only for use when you are in the right space to do intensive shadow work around childhood trauma specifically. You have to be, you can't be an addict with this deck. You have to know when to use it and when not to. And that applies for me even in client readings. I might be working with a client who's doing shadow work, and this deck may actually be way too intense for the client. You have to really, really be very aware of what you're doing with this deck. But it's a gorgeous deck. I love Chikoli's artwork. It's very, it can be triggering. It's very provocative. It really takes you into child energy, childlike energy, inner child energy. So this is the Chikoli Tarot. It will kick your ass. It is worth the investment. Only use it when you're in the right space to work with it. And I do not use the guidebook meanings, even though there's a good jumping off point in them to like take you in a different direction. I work with it in regards to shadow work. So I'm looking more at what comes up for me when I look at the imagery. Final deck on my list is the Nameless one. Tarot and Oracle. It's also a sigil deck. This is by, I will put the link down below because it's an independent deck. It's also an investment deck. Zia Hunt, if I'm recalling her name correctly. Let's just say that this lusty badass is, but again, it's a very loving energy and it's so sexy. The cards are gigantic, so I'm going to just kind of do this because even for me, they're difficult to hold. I've been working with this with the guidebook, like reading and taking my time and taking notes and working with my journal around it, which I have found to be really impactful. It reads more like an oracle deck than tarot so far for me, but I can't speak to that clearly because I'm really just starting on my journey with her. I want to take my sweet ass time and I want it to be a long time. This is like when two earth signs get together. Like, it's not going to be short and sweet. We're doing a long-term thing, right? So, and this deck is very, very much that type of energy. It's not a traditional tarot deck. So if you're looking for that, this is not an investment that I would make. It's very much a study and a personalized experience. So there's that. This is, again, the Nameless one. I'm just loving her, and I'm loving, you know, it's so fun to be a student too, and to explore a new modality when it comes to card work. I'm going to be a little, you know, like I have to tie this tie. I can't leave it untied. It's going to drive me nuts, guys. So anyhow, this is my late November, late fall, early winter, top favorite decks in my collection right now that I'm working with. Okay, guys, if you made it this far, I'm going to give you a little treat. A bunch of you have asked if I would showcase my collection, which my very dear friend Victoria helped me get set up over here a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Yes, I'm going to be giving you a little tour of my deck collection. That is my deck collection in its entirety. I probably don't have as many decks as you think I do. We'll see. But yes, that video will be coming to the channel over the next week. So I hope you are all doing well out there in the world. As always, I am sending you guys so much love and many blessings, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.